When a husband is full of energy, is it truly a wife's greatest blessing, or an unspoken curse? This question nearly pushed my 35-year marriage to the brink of ruin when I turned 50. Two outsiders, I had what seemed like the perfect husband. At over 60, he still moved with quick, vigorous steps. His stamina was something every man envied and every woman admired. But only I knew how much suffocating pressure and hidden tears lay behind that so mine is called blessing. My name is Claire, and I am 50 years old this year. My husband is Jason, 63, 13 years older than me. We live in Taichung, and our 2 daughters are already married and living in Taipei. Jason only retired from his civil service job last year. His health is truly remarkable, so good it's hard to believe his age. While friends his age have started complaining about knee pain and backaches, he has never had those problems. He can run a full marathon, and his morning runs have never been interrupted, no matter the weather. Watching him head out in his sportswear, he really looks like a man in his early 50s. He has had this kind of energy ever since we got married. Every morning before leaving for work, he would always want to be intimate with me. He rose at 6, exercised, showered, and then woke me up. I was often still sleepy, mine aside, while he was already refreshed and full of vitality. He would hold my shoulders, give me a deep kiss, and say it was like charging up so he would have energy all day. Then we would begin our passionate morning in the bedroom. For 35 years, this had become an unbreakable ritual between us. Even when I felt unwell or was sick, there seemed to be no exception. At first, I thought it was wonderful. I often heard friends say their husbands had gradually lost interest in marital intimacy as they grew older. But Jason only became more passionate, and my friends envied me. Claire, you're really so lucky. My husband can't even be bothered to hold my hand anymore. Hearing those words, I felt a quiet pride. At our age, still loving each other so deeply, I was truly grateful. I always believed I was much luckier than other couples. Jason was very proud of it too. He often boasted to neighbors and friends, I may be 63, but don't I look much younger than my age? People usually smiled and agreed, because Jason did look younger and very healthy. Look at the men our age, they're all old and weak, but I'm still like a lively dragon. At first, I was happy that my husband was so confident and energetic. It made me feel younger too. But as time passed, I slowly began to sense something was wrong. Jason started saying things that made me feel embarrassed. Claire, your husband is a bit strange. You know, you can't hide the pride on his face when he talks about it. Yes, always bringing up your married life, bragging that he performs so well every morning. After hearing this too many times, I began to feel increasing pressure. I felt as if I had become a tool to prove how healthy and strong he was. Then everything changed after Jason retired. Before, he would be intimate with me once in the morning before work, and by the time he came home in the evening he was tired and would go to bed early. No matter how good his stamina was, a full day of work still wore him out. But after retirement, with so much free time, the situation spiraled out of control. He would finish his morning exercise and want it once, then take a nap after lunch and want it again, and then once more after dinner. 3 times a day he would pull me into the bedroom as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Now we have so much time, and my stamina is even better than before. How can once a day be enough? He would ask me with an innocent look. I'm a man who can run marathons. Isn't it normal for a 63-year-old to have this kind of energy? Think about it, how many men our age are in as good shape as I am. You should know how to cherish your blessings. He was extremely proud of his vitality and seemed determined to prove it by demanding intimacy without restraint. While I was washing dishes, he would hug me from behind. While I was folding clothes, he would sit nearby, giving me suggestive looks. I gradually felt exhausted in both body and mind. At 50, my body simply cowed and keep up with his vigorous energy. But I didn't dare show it, afraid he would be disappointed. He looked so happy, so I could only endure it all in silence. The pain inside was unbearable. After he retired, things got even worse. He stayed home all day, but I still had endless housework, cooking, laundry. Having him home all the time actually made me busier, because I had to prepare 3 meals a day, sometimes even snacks. Even so, he demanded intimacy regardless of time or place. Whether I was washing dishes or folding clothes, he paid no attention. "Claire, come here for a moment." At first I would think something had happened, maybe he wasn't feeling well and rush over, only to realize it wasn't that at all. Sometimes while we were eating, he would suddenly stand up and take my hand. Sometimes while I was cooking in the kitchen, he would hug me from behind and say, "Wife, let's go back to the bedroom right now. You look so beautiful cooking. I can't hold back anymore." Then, without caring that the gas stove was still on, he would pull me forcefully into the bedroom. Whether the braised pork in the pot was boiling or the oil was heating up, he ignored it completely. "It's dangerous, let me turn off the fire first." "It's fine. It'll only take a moment. I want you right now." It was truly very dangerous. Several times the pots burned and the oil splattered everywhere around the stove. Jason's desires always seemed far more important to him than my worries or safety. What hurt even more were the words that came out of his mouth. As time went on, he grew increasingly harsh. A woman at 50 should know how to keep her husband's heart. I truly could not understand how he could say such things. At first I thought he was joking. "You're lucky to have married a man with my stamina. You should cooperate properly. So many women out there would envy you. Do you even realize how fortunate you are?" Every time I heard those words, it felt like needles piercing my heart. I still remember the worst clearly. That day I was exhausted. I had gone to the market early in the morning, cooked our daughter's favorite braised beef brisket, packaged it, and sent it by express delivery to Taipei. Then I cleaned the house and did the laundry. In between I had to prepare Jason's lunch. I barely had time to sit down all day. In the evening, while I was preparing dinner, he came up behind me and wrapped his arms around me. At first I thought he was comforting me. "Wife, you worked hard today." But then he added, "Your back view is just tempting. I can't hold back." As he spoke, he tightened his grip around my waist and kissed the back of my neck. I thought, here we go again. My legs were already shaking from fatigue. "Jason, I'm really tired today. Can we eat first and do this later?" I said as gently as I could. I wasn't refusing him, just hoping to postpone it a little. But in that instant his expression changed completely. The arms holding me suddenly squeezed hard, so tight it hurt. "You're tired? You're tired of me?" His voice was icy cold, a tone I had never heard before. It sent a chill down my spine. "You don't want me anymore?" "No, it's not that. My body really doesn't feel well." I tried to explain, but he only grew angrier. "Not feeling well? Then what am I? I've worked outside for over 30 years. At my age, I'm still going strong for you. And you don't know how to be grateful? You even dare to complain? You should feel lucky to have a husband like me." When I heard that, my heart turned completely cold. All the grievances I had bottled up burst out at once. After he finished speaking, he stormed into the living room, dropped heavily onto the sofa, turned the television volume up loud, and refused to say another word. I stood alone in the kitchen, at a loss. The spatula in my hand was trembling. I felt furious. Yet, at the same time, a deep sense of helplessness washed over me. Dinner that night was unbearably awkward. He kept a stony face the whole time. I could hardly swallow a bite. This kind of situation kept repeating, and gradually I became exhausted in both body and mind. That night I awake, my mind spinning. Is this normal? Is this what love is supposed to be? Before we got married, I had never seen this side of him. Was he still the man I thought I knew? For the first time I felt real fear. The next few days the atmosphere at home remained tense and awkward. He acted as if nothing had happened, while I walked on eggshells, unsure what to do. But his demands did not stop. Instead, they grew even stronger. I run 10 kilometers every day. This level of stamina is basic for me. Other men lose it when they get older, but am still so vigorous. Other women would beg for this, yet you keep pushing your good fortune away. He would boast about his health while completely failing to understand my rejections. Sometimes he even said even more humiliating things. Tell me the truth. For the past 5 years you've stayed at home. I'm the one who earned the money to support you. What exactly have you contributed to this family? That sentence nearly suffocated me. Contribution? I had raised our 2 daughters, prepared every meal, managed all the household chores, done the laundry, cleaned, taken them to the doctor, and seen them off to school. Not a single moment of my life had been for myself. With one sentence, he had completely erased everything I had done. I felt more and more suffocated. In his eyes, I seemed to be nothing more than a tool to prove his own vitality. This was not love. It was just him showing off his physical strength, and I was merely the prop he used to prove it. Health and thoughtfulness are two completely different things. One day, at the market, I ran into a neighbor. She said, "Claire, you're really blessed. Your husband is still so strong and healthy. At our age, it's wonderful when a man still has so much energy." When I heard that, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Am I really lucky? Or is this actually a curse? After I got home, I kept thinking about it. Why did everyone around me envy me? While I, the one living it, felt only pain? Jason remained the same. After his morning run, he would come back full of energy and immediately try to pull me into the bedroom. I began avoiding him. During the time he usually returned from exercise, I would go out to the market or deliberately call our daughters for long chats. But the house was only so big. There was nowhere to hide. Once I locked myself in the bathroom. He knocked on the door from outside. "What are you doing in there? Come out. I want you right now." At that moment, I felt utter despair. Even the bathroom was no longer a safe haven. These things were too difficult to tell our daughters. How could I say to them, "Your father wants me 3 times a day"? They live busy lives in Taipei, and I didn't want them to worry. So every time they called, I could only say, "Yes, your dad and I are both fine." Inside, I was screaming for help. Jason grew more and more self-righteous, and the reactions of people around us only encouraged him. The neighbor ladies would say, "We really envy you for having such a healthy husband." When he heard that, he became even more pleased with himself. His friends would also say enviously, "Jason, you're really amazing. Your wife must be so happy." These reactions made him even more arrogant. Finally, one day I decided I could not go on like this. I had to find a way to channel his energy somewhere else. "Jason, besides exercising, why don't you find some other hobbies to cultivate?" I suggested sincerely. He stayed home all day, staring only at me, and it made me extremely uncomfortable. Jason and I had been married for 5 years. Lately, the pressure from his strong sexual drive had become a heavy burden I could no longer bear. If he could go out and join some activities, channeling his excess energy elsewhere, maybe he wouldn't come home and treat me that way anymore. A few days later, he came to me and said, "Hey, I've been running in the park lately and met a few friends. One of them is into cycling. He told me cycling was good for the body and helped shift your mood." After he joined, every weekend he would go out with the cycling team. He said it felt wonderful, and he even invited me to try it. He looked genuinely excited. They would ride together, hunt for good food along the way, and enjoy beautiful scenery. It all sounded meaningful. "That's great. You should get out more and spend time with people," I said, supporting him from the bottom of my heart. I thought to myself, finally, staying cooped up at home all day was suffocating. Going out, learning something new, enjoying life, and putting his energy into something healthy would mean he wouldn't come back and torment me like before. 1 week later, Jason started joining the cycling team's activities. Every Wednesday and Saturday, he would get up early, take a quick shower, put on his tight cycling gear, and head out with an excited look on his face. For the first few weeks, things did improve. When he came home, he seemed in a good mood. He would share stories about the team and show me the photos they had taken. We rode to a famous snack spot in Canggu today. It was amazing. Last week they went to Alishan in Kiaya, and the scenery was spectacular. Seeing that he had found a suitable hobby, I was truly happy for him. During that first month, his demands on me did decrease a little, but gradually, things started going wrong again. Every weekend he would get especially excited, saying the team had an event they were riding to some place, stopping for lunch at a famous local restaurant along the way. He claimed it was about cycling, but I knew better. The riding was just an excuse. The real purpose was drinking and socializing. Sure enough, every time he would come home drunk at 2 or 3 in the morning, staggering through the door with a mix of sweat and alcohol on him. He would still be carrying barbecue from the night market and a half-tea bottle of sorghum liquor. Oops, the tire slipped and I fell off the bike again, he would mumble as an excuse. I didn't bother calling him out on it. I just pulled the covers over my head and ignored him. But the real problem was that when he came home drunk, his demands on me became even more stubborn. He would shake me awake in the middle of the night. "Honey, look what time it is. I'm sleeping. Come on." After exercising and having a few drinks, I feel especially good. He reeked of alcohol as he tried to pull off my pajamas. "You're drunk. Go take a shower and go to bed." "No, I want it now. Drinking makes it even stronger." He tried to force himself on me. "No, no. You smell like alcohol all over, and it's 3 in the morning." After I rejected him, he stormed angrily into the living room and slammed the door. A moment later, just as I thought he had calmed down and was about to fall back asleep, I heard strange, rhythmic sounds coming from the living room. Curious, I walked out and saw him sitting on the sofa doing something unspeakable. The living room light was on, and the bedroom door was wide open. When he saw me come out, he didn't look embarrassed at all. Instead, he became even more brazen, staring straight at me while continuing. "I'll have to do it myself," he said shamelessly, as if I were the one in the wrong. "Think about it, how many 60 Renas 3 minus 3 still have this kind of stamina?" He kept going as he spoke, his eyes full of provocation. At that moment, goose and strows all over my body. Was this really the man I knew? We had lived together for 30-5 years. How could he be so shameless? Terrified, my legs went weak. I turned and ran back to the bedroom, locking the door. My hands were shaking so badly it took me several tries to turn the lock. But what was even more frightening was the next morning. He acted as if nothing had happened and casually asked, "What do you want for breakfast?" The disgusting scene from the night before felt like nothing more than a nightmare. I didn't know how to respond. I could only nod. His thick mina-skinned attitude scared me more than anything. This terrifying pattern repeated every time he came back from a cycling team activity. If I refused him, he would get angry, then humiliate me in that way. The next day, he would pretend nothing was wrong. During the daytime, it became even worse. He would say that after cycling he had more energy. While we were eating, he would suddenly grab my wrist and pull me up from the chair, chopsticks still in my hand, dragging me away by force. When I was cooking, he would hug me from behind and rub against me. "I'm using the stove right now. It's fine. Just turn the flame down a little." When I was cleaning, it was the same. He would touch and hold me from behind. "The way you clean is so sexy." "I'm cleaning. We can do it later." He demanded sex regardless of time or place, as if he wanted to release all the stimulation he got from cycling right there at home. No matter what I was doing, he only cared about his own desire. The moment I refused, he would storm off angrily, go into the room, leave the door open, and start pleasuring himself while deliberately saying, "I'll make you watch. If you won't come, I'll do it right here for you to see." Seeing him become more and more shameless, I felt truly hopeless. "Won't come. I'll do it right here for you to see. Seeing him become more and more shameless, I felt truly hopeless. The bicycle only made him even more arrogant. Out in the world, chatting with others, drinking, and riding gave him greater confidence. When he came home, he unleashed it all on me. The guys in the cycling team were so envious of me. At 6-3 he still has this kind of stamina, they said. Jason must have burned a lot of good incense in your last life to marry such a vigorous husband. He kept using their words to put pressure on me. One day he even brought home a brand one that gleamed under the light. How much did this cost? I asked. Original price was $150,000. I bargained it down to $100,000. Pretty good deal, right? I could hardly believe my ears. All the effort I had put into comparing prices for hours just to save a few $100s suddenly felt meaningless. You spent such a huge amount without even discussing it with me? He looked at me with a strange expression. This is the money I worked hard for all my life. Now that I'm retired, can't I enjoy myself a little? Why are you so calculating? You told me to go out and find something to do, but you won't cooperate and keep nagging me about everything. I was speechless. What he said next hurt even more. Be honest, you stayed at home your whole life. I'm the one who earned the money to support you. What have you contributed? The guys in the team all say you're ungrateful. A husband with such good stamina is a blessing. The confidence the bicycle gave him, mixed with the effects of alcohol, made his behavior at home even more domineering. After a few months, I truly reached my limit. Twice a week he would come home drunk and torment me. During the day he would watch what he ate to keep up his energy and then harass me constantly. At night I felt I could no longer endure it. If things continued like this, I would go insane. I would no longer be a person. In his eyes, I was nothing but a tool for cooking, washing clothes, and satisfying his needs at any time. My efforts were taken for granted, and my refusals were seen as disobedience. I no longer had any expectations of him. Even after retirement, he was still the emperor of the house, and I was still his servant. I did not want to live like this anymore. At that moment, I realized he did not think there was anything wrong with the situation at all. So I made up my mind. That night, I quietly took out a suitcase from the wardrobe. The sound of the wheels rolling felt like my heart breaking. I trembled as I folded my clothes one by one. Tears fell drop by drop onto the fabric. Jason sat on the living room sofa watching me. In a low voice he said, "Where are you going? Don't do this." Hearing those words, I could not help but smile, whether in mockery or self-pity. I was sure. I stood in the entryway, put on my shoes, and said my final words to him. From now on, I'm going to live for myself. Then I opened the door and walked out. The moment I closed it behind me, I knew everything was over. On the bus ride to Yulin, my tears kept falling. I asked myself, do I really have to do this? Is it necessary to go this far? But when I arrived in Yulin and stepped out of the station, the wind from the Lanyang plain blew gently across my face, scattering the depression in my heart. I looked at the scenery outside the window and felt a freedom I had never known before. On my first day in Yulin, I went alone to the beach at Yoo. Although I felt a little tired from walking, my mood was incredibly light. Beneath my feet was the vast sea, and in my ears the roaring wind. My heavy heart was washed clean. In a little alley I ordered a bowl of fish minus ball rice noodles. I discovered that eating alone could taste so delicious. With no one urging me from the side, everything felt truly peaceful. In the following days Jason did not contact me. He probably thought that, like before, once my anger passed I would come home on my own. But this time I had no intention of going back. The clean air, the calm sea, and the feeling of living only for myself were too precious to me. On the 5th day, he called. His first words were exactly what I had expected. Come back right now. Your home is in Taichung. Is that my home? I answered calmly. From now on, I have my own life too. By the 6th day, the era when I could be pushed around was over. From then on he called every day. At first his tone was angry, but gradually it's softened. Wife, I've been eating instant noodles lately. No one washes the bowls. No one washes the clothes. There aren't even any side dishes at home. If it had been the old him, he would have exploded in rage first. But this time I heard real loneliness in his voice. A few days later our daughter called. "Non, Dad has been really off lately. He stopped going to the cycling team, drinks less, and just sits there staring into space." Hearing that, my heart wavered for a moment. That evening he left me a voice message, as if talking to himself. "Wife, I was really wrong. Only now do I understand how lonely you felt back then and how much grievance you endured. Without you, this home is just an empty shell." The regret and sincerity in his tone were something I had never heard in 30-5 years of marriage with him. From that day on, every evening I sat at the small table in the guest house and wrote in my diary. Today no one called me auntie, and no one called me mom. For the first time I was living only for myself. It felt better than I had imagined. In fact, this was the first time I had ever completely owned my own time. 2 weeks after arriving in Yilan, I started looking for work in town. I thought even a part-time job at a snack shop or cafe would be fine. I really felt I might be able to begin a new life here. But that night Jason called again. This time his voice sounded different. "Wife, I went to see a doctor." I was startled. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell somewhere?" "It's not physical." I went to the psychiatry department. The psychiatry department, our daughter had suggested it. She said my condition was right and that he should talk to a specialist. "What did the doctor say?" I asked. The doctor told him that his behavior toward me was an unhealthy obsession and a form of control. He said that constantly making unreasonable demands on me was an attempt to control me, and that it was all wrong. For a moment I could not speak. The doctor said that in a marriage, failing to respect the other person's wishes and making one-sided demands is actually a form of violence. I had always thought that was love. "Honey, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. For 30-5 years, I never realized how much you had to endure." That night, I couldn't sleep because I finally understood that you really wanted things to change. On the 20th day, our younger daughter called and said, "Mom is learning to cook. She's watching YouTube tutorials on how to fry sunny mina salad, and even taking notes on how to boil instant noodles. She told me that since you're not here, she wants to learn to do it herself." A few days later, our elder daughter sent me a photo of Jason wearing an apron and washing dishes. The message read, "Dad really seems to be changing. You should come home." On the 28th day, I was walking along the beach in Yilan, seriously thinking about whether I should go back or start a new life there. That evening, while I was eating dinner alone at the guest house, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, Jason was standing there. "How did you—" I asked our daughter for the address and took the train here. He suddenly knelt down in front of me and said softly, "I'm sorry. I finally realize I can't live without you. Please come home with me." Hearing those words, my heart warmed, and at the same time I felt an inexplicable sense of release. In his eyes, I saw a sincerity I had never seen in 30-5 years of marriage. I stood there for a moment, quietly looking at him, then said, "All right, I'll trust you this once and go back with you. But we can't live the way we used to." "Okay. Thank you, honey. From now on, well, respect each other. You have to see me as an independent person too." "Good. I promise. From now on, well, do it once a day at most, and only when you want it to. It'll change." And so I ended my month in Yilan and boarded the train back to Taichung. The scenery outside the window was the same as when I had left, but my state of mind was completely different. This time I wasn't running away, I was returning to the new life I had chosen. After returning to Taichung, the daily life of our marriage began to change slowly but noticeably. The first few days still felt a little awkward, but Jason's actions proved he was serious. At 6:30 in the morning, before I even woke up, I heard faint sounds coming from the kitchen. I quietly opened the bedroom door and saw him clumsily holding a frying pan. After burning to eggs, he finally succeeded in making one perfectly soft sunny, minus side, minus up egg. That morning, I smiled from the bottom of my heart for the first time in a long while. You put too much oil. That's not how they do it on YouTube. He scratched his head sheepishly. From then on, he got up earlier than me every morning to learn how to cook. He kept practicing fried eggs and even wrote down steps for making soup in his notebook. One day, while I stood watching him, he said, "From now on, I'll do the cooking. You've worked hard for 30-5 years. Let me take care of you." Hearing that, I turned away quietly and wiped away my tears. But the more important change was that he began looking for healthy outlets for his excess energy. He told me, "Honey, I want to completely change my lifestyle. First, I'm going to run more systematically. I used to run about 10 kilometers. From now on, I'll increase it to 20 kilometers in the morning. That should burn off more energy." A few days later, he added, "I registered as a volunteer at the community center. I'll go 2 or 3 times a week to help clean the park or tidy up the nursing home." Really? Yes. The doctor said I should channel my energy in a healthy direction. Volunteering also gives me a sense of accomplishment. I was surprised that he was taking the initiative to plan all this. He even went to check out the nearby table tennis hall. A lot of seniors play there. I want to learn too. I heard table tennis is more physically demanding than it looks. That cycling group I used to join was basically just an excuse to drink. It wasted money too. Better to spend the time on something meaningful. And so Jason began his new routine. He woke up at 6 in the morning. If I was feeling up to it, we would be intimate, and then he would go for his 10-kilometer run. By 8, he would be back, and we would have breakfast together. At 9, he would go volunteer, giving me peaceful time for myself. In the afternoon at 2, he would head to the table tennis hall to play with the seniors, while I attended my calligraphy class at the community college or met up with friends. At 6 in the evening, we would prepare and eat dinner together. At 8, we would take a walk along the Yuchuan River and talk about our day. At first, he found table tennis quite difficult. It's harder than I thought. The ball just won't do what I want. But it's really fun. The seniors are nice, and they're all much better than me. I can learn a lot from them. They even remind me to go home early to help my wife. As he grew closer to those seniors, he seemed to find new joy in the activity. The same was true for volunteering. While cleaning at the nursing home, one elderly lady thanked me and said that because of people like us, they could live in a cleaner, more pleasant environment. At that moment, my heart felt truly warm. When sweeping in the park and seeing passers-by express their gratitude, I also felt a strong sense of accomplishment. Only now do I understand that these are the things that truly matter. Gradually, through these activities, he found his own sense of value. The most important change was that he strictly kept our agreement. We were intimate only in the morning, and only when I was willing, during the day or at night. He never made any demands. Every morning he would first ask, "How are you feeling today?" If I said I was a bit tired, he would naturally reply, "Then let's try tomorrow." Only if I said it was fine would we gently and considerately enjoy our time together. Like real lovers, your feelings matter most. Forcing it has no meaning. He would say that, just as he had promised. Every time he spoke like this, I felt deeply moved. In the first few days, he was still adjusting. Sometimes he would instinctively want to ask in the afternoon, but then he would catch himself and mutter, right. We agreed on once a day. Jason tried so hard to hold himself back that I knew he was truly changing. After his run, his volunteer shift, and playing table tennis, he would come home with just the right amount of tiredness. He no longer tormented me with his excess energy. The exercise left his body pleasantly spent tired, but calm inside. After dinner, he would voluntarily wash the dishes. I only washed my own bowl, and only then did I realize how natural this should have always been. watching his clumsy movements as he carefully cleaned every plate and bowl from behind. I felt as if he had become a different person. We also did the laundry together. At first he cowled and even hung the towels straight, but every time I showed him how, he listened attentively. I learned that adding a little baking soda makes clothes cleaner, and only then did I understand how thoughtfully he had been doing these things all along. Before I knew it, the laundry he washed was even cleaner than mine, and housework was no longer my burden alone. Once we started sharing everything, I could finally breathe easy. I gained afternoons that truly belonged to me. I went to the community college to learn calligraphy. The teacher praised my writing for its elegance, saying that a calm heart shows in the strokes. Only then did I discover how joyful it is to cultivate a new interest at 50. I could also meet my friends without worry. "Claire, you look so well lately. Is something good happening?" "Nothing special. I'm just feeling more relaxed." I would answer with a smile, my heart full of gratitude. He no longer questioned where I was going like before. Now he would walk me to the door and say, "Have fun. Ill-prepared dinner tonight." Those words brought me such comfort and warmth. Sometimes his old habits would slip out unintentionally. If I said I was thirsty and asked him to pour me a glass of water, I would smile and reply, "You have feet, don't you?" He would chuckle awkwardly and get it himself. Through these small moments, we relearned how to live together. A few months later, his transformation had become solid. The older men at the table tennis club all liked him. "Jason is such a good man, he always rushes home to help his wife." The director of the community activity center also praised him, saying he worked diligently, treated the elders well, and was a fine example of a family-oriented man. "Honey, I've been feeling a real sense of accomplishment lately," he told me. I never realized before how meaningful these things could be. Hearing him say that, I felt genuinely happy for him. Our intimate relationship had completely changed too. In the past it had been one-sided when he wanted me. I had to comply. Now he always put my feelings first. "Love is only beautiful when both people want it," he said. Those words truly moved me. Our daughters also noticed the difference. When they came home, they said, "Dad has really changed a lot. He used to just boss Mom around, but now he's so considerate of her." And for the first time they saw their father cooking and washing dishes. It's unbelievable. A year passed, and Jason's new life was fully on track. Through running, volunteering, and table tennis, he burned his energy in healthy ways. When he came home, we did housework together and showed each other understanding. One day he said, "I feel like this is the happiest time of our lives." I felt exactly the same. After 30-5 years of marriage, we had finally become real husband and wife. Looking back on our life together, I realized how selfish it is to ignore your partner's wishes. Only then did I understand how much grievance I had endured over those 30-5 years while he took it all for granted. When he said these words, I also realized I should have given him the chance to change sooner. Seeing the man he had become, I could finally admit how lonely and exhausted I had been. One evening, as we walked along the Yuchuan River, I told him, "Honey, when I was in Yilan, I thought about a lot of things. What did you think about?" I was wondering, were we really husband and wife before? It felt like I was living only for you, and you thought that was perfectly natural. He gazed at the distant river and stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I promise it will never happen again. From now on, let's stop depending on each other and become true partners walking side by side. Yes, let's start being real companions now." That was our promise, to love each other anew. Sometimes he would say to me, "Thank you for giving me the chance to change." And I would reply, "And thank you for being willing to change for me." We have learned to thank each other every day. Of course, life is not always smooth. Old habits still surface sometimes, and we still have disagreements. But now we solve them through communication. What do you think? This is how I see it. What about you? Simple questions like these show we care about each other's feelings. If any of you listening are facing a similar struggle in your marriage, Perhaps believing that after many years together, you must unconditionally accept your partner's demands. Please remember that is not love. Real love is care and respect. Change is possible at any time. Since we could do it at 50 and 60 minus 3, please don't give up. Sometimes a brave step away is necessary. Perhaps, like me, you need some time alone. But as long as there is still love in your heart and both sides are willing to change, you can build a new relationship. Most importantly, find a healthy way to release that energy like Jason did by pouring it into running, table tennis, and volunteer work. When you come home, you will naturally have the space to care for each other. I am truly happy now. After 30-5 years of marriage, I finally feel we are real husband and wife. Jason often says, I think this is the happiest time of our lives. Being considerate is more important than anything. I was really unfair to you before. If you are also in a painful relationship, please don't give up. And above all, love yourself well. Living only for the other person is not love. Love yourself, and love the other person. To that is what true love really means. I didn't understand this until I turned 50. It may seem late, but it's never too late. Right now is a new beginning. Remember, real love doesn't need to happen many times a day. Once is enough, as long as that love is filled with respect and tenderness. Thank you for listening to my long story. I wish every one of you a happy and healthy life. If you're facing similar struggles in your marriage, please find the courage to make a change. It really is possible. Age is not the issue. What matters most is mutual respect, mutual love, and truly understanding each other's hearts. Life is like a giant mosaic puzzle. Sometimes we place a piece in the wrong spot, but as long as we're willing to adjust and rearrange it, from a distance it can still become a beautiful picture. May every life be filled with sincere love and happiness. See you in the next